Hello! A few months ago I bought a Flir One like this. This is my first thermal imaging camera. After a few uses I started to notice some unexpected behaviour with it, so I messaged product support via the Flir website to see if the problem was with the actual unit or if the problem lied between the driver's seat and the steering wheel. I didn't have much luck with the response. I made a video outlining some of the problems I was having with it in the hope someone would be able to help, you know. Nothing happened, so I sort of just sent it back for a refund. Anyway, just the other week my video started to get some interest by others who had had some similar problems. It was also seen by Flir, who swiftly got in touch with me apologising for the lack of support I'd had when I initially messaged customer care team. They sent me a new one, which is this, and assured me that the battery issues I'd had wouldn't be evident with this unit. So, and I think they've probably updated the firmware in it to, you know, solve any problems that with the battery or anything like that. There doesn't seem to be any firmware available on their site, so I suppose if there is issues with it you'd probably have to send it back to the company to get them to do the firmware. It would be a lot easier if you could actually just firmware it from the port in the side, or even via the phone, you know, do like an update with the software on the phone, and then the phone then firmwares this, which might well happen. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how this works. You know, I'm only guessing here. So, but yeah, I would assume that this has had a different firmware to the one I had, because there's no battery problems that I had with the first one. It charges fine. Another thing I'd like to point out is, with a charger, you're better off to actually have a good thick solid charging cable, and I would recommend a charging unit, a proper dedicated charger, such as the one that you can buy from IKEA. I think it's an IKEA Coupler. They have, I think it's about 2 amps or 1.2. It's quite high amperage, so you're going to get a good solid charge with it. If you just use like a phone charger or plug it into the side of your computer, it's not going to charge fully. It will end up with a flashing light, which I've noticed, and it won't go solid. So that's something to look out for. That's one of the problems I had, and which I asked about initially. Anyway, they said that this new one wouldn't have any of these problems, so that's fine. Also, it was freezing. I noticed the camera would freeze every few seconds, you know, and I was like, what's going on here? Because I've never owned a thermal imaging camera before, and I mean, I did look through the manual. I didn't scour the manual for every single word, but I looked through it. You can only look so much into a manual, and you know, if you're not finding what you're looking for, you're not going to sit there and read the whole thing just to eventually hope that you may find the solution that you're looking for. You want to sort of quickly browse through and think, right, well, is it mentioned here? Do they mention this or not? And you know, I couldn't find anything initially anyway. So basically, I got this. That was when I got in touch with product support, and they said to me basically, well, I didn't get any sort of response until recently. It's only recently when I actually got the response. So yeah, basically the cameras do freeze. It does freeze on the phone or whatever device you've got plugged into it. All of these, every single thermal imager you have has a freezing thing, because it needs to calibrate, and it happens less and less the more you use it. Now, I mean, in one use, this is what I mean. So basically, if I switch this on, it might calibrate in the first few seconds, it might calibrate again a few seconds later, and then that time will become greater and greater between calibrations. So eventually you're not getting it, it's not going to calibrate for like over a minute or something. but the next time you switch this on and reload the software, it's going to go back to the calibration procedure. That's what it does. They all do this. If I'd known that, I would not have sent my initial one back. If I'd known, you know, although there was the problems with the battery, and if I'd had a good response initially, I'd still have my initial one. But anyway, they've sent me a new one, and so I'm going to do a quick video about this, which I'm doing now. I'm going to show you a few examples of how to use it, or to what it's really good for. I'm going to be doing some tests. I'm going to do some tests with how long it lasts. I'm going to do a time-lapse video with basically the battery life, and I'll be testing the battery life on this side by side with the actual phone, because the battery life, it shows up the battery life on that, but also I'll charge my phone 100%, and you'll see how much the battery life on the phone itself drops whilst using the software, because the software obviously takes, you know, all software uses battery on phones. That's, you know, that's one of the things. So yeah, I'll be testing this, see how long we get out of this, see how long we get out of the, you know, how much percentage we drain on the phone whilst using the software. So basically I'll be testing the battery in this and the phone. I'll also show how good it is on the iPad as well, because, you know, you can also plug it into the iPad. What I will mention is, if you've got a phone case like me and you want to plug it in, you can still plug it in and it still works with the phone case on. So, you know, you don't have to remove your phone case. I mean, this phone case is practically welded on, so, you know, you know, to remove it, I've actually cracked it once. When I tried to remove it, I needed to change a SIM card and crack the phone case. It's that tight. I mean, a lot of them are like this, so, you know, so yeah, it's handy that you can actually put this on and while your phone case. I can't imagine it'll work with every phone case, but most phone cases it should work. It's got some little grooves. Sorry, I just pushed the power button there. So I'll try and switch that off now. Is it going to go off? No, that's it. It has to do its colour. Right, that's it. Now I can switch it off once it's green. Right, yeah, it's got a couple of little indents there which allow it to sit on top of the case, which is fine. So that's that. So without further ado, I'm going to do a few tests, and going to put a circuit board underneath this and see what we can see, you know, how useful this is for troubleshooting electronics. So let's go. Okay, this is the Jürgen Habel vocoder. Now, I've had this powered up for about 5 minutes so far, and also this video's been sorry, the thermal imaging camera has been on for about 5 minutes. And to start with, it did the calibration procedure where it froze and it did the calibration, but it's happening less and less and less just now. But I just want to show how good this is when it comes to seeing what's powered up and what isn't. Now, I haven't actually run this board. This is still under test. I've never actually powered this up and used it at the moment. This is still this is the first time I've actually powered this up, and as you can see, the chips here, they're all working. This one's getting quite warm here. Let me get a pointer. I'll use a Sharpie, that'll do. Right, so as you can see, this one here is getting quite warm. Over here, now these chips I've used them in other projects and have been quite unreliable. This batch anyway, and this is one. It's an LM1458, and there's one here that doesn't seem to be getting any power, and as a result I don't think these are getting power either. This is another 1458 here, which is very warm in comparison to the others. There's another LM1458. These are all from the same batch here, and there's another one here, and they don't seem to be powered up. There's no heat coming off these. So I'm going to replace all of these as a matter of course. There's another one. I'm going to replace another one. I'm going to replace all of those as a matter of course. But as you can see, you can. There you go. There. Now it's calibrating. Now it won't calibrate for quite a while. You might be able to see some hot spots around here, around these here. Now basically this is just reflecting. Any reflective surface can reflect the heat from another source into the thermal imaging camera. So that's what's happening there. So that isn't. So if I move the angle, it disappears. It's not actually. It's giving a false reading. Now that would happen with any thermal imaging camera, not just the Flir One. Whatever you've got, it's going to do the same because it can only read what's coming off this. So yeah, don't be too alarmed if you see that. You can see the voltage regulator here. Now this is pretty much on the ball. I don't know if you can see on this, but there's a gap there. Now what you can do here, you can calibrate. You can double tap and you can actually move the real image and the thermal image. Now that's as close as I can get it, so I'm too close to the board, but you can see there that all of these chips are lighting up. All of these chips along here are lighting up. Now you can see it calibrates when I put my hand in there. There's a lot more heat coming off my hand, so the board goes dark, and then when I move my hand away it goes light again. So it's just basically calibrating to illustrate the best it can. So yeah, so you can see there that you know, these chips are actually warming up, which means they're on, they're switched on, which is a good sign. I've never actually tested this board. This is the first time I've switched it on. I've only just built it, and it seems like all of these, each one of, there's like 20 filters all along here, and there it's calibrating again there. You saw that freeze. Now that's a lot longer between calibration than when you first switch it on. So be aware of that. But yes, it seems that these LM1458s will need to be replaced. They were a bad batch. I purposely left them in to actually just see what happens when I power this up. But yeah, you can see there. There's reflections coming off those capacitors, but it seems like there's nothing coming from that 1458, that one there. I'm starting to get a bit of a reading from the analog devices chip next to it there. But there, the 1458 is not doing anything. There's a 1458 over here it's too hot. It's way warmer than any other chip. Now I had this before. I've had these like warm up till they're actually burning your fingertips when you touch them. Another thing to watch out for is if you've touched a chip or anything like that, you can see my fingers there. So I'm going to touch these 3 chips here. Say for example I've just taken them out and I've replaced them and I put some new ones in to see if there's any problems. It's going to leave a thermal fingerprint on those 3 chips. So just be aware of that. And I mean, even though they're cool to the touch, this is actually picking it up. So so yeah, this is really useful. Now it's looking now, I mean that's starting to warm up now, and I can see pretty much every chip on that board is on. You know, the only hotspots I'm really getting, apart from the false readings that I'm getting from the reflection of the capacitor cans there, the only hotspot I'm really getting is from this regulator. This is a BD239C regulator, so that's the only where I'm getting a hotspot now. There's a regulator over here, but I'm bypassing the the power supply here. I'm going straight in with my lab supply, and yeah, it seems that, yeah, swap out those 1458s and I reckon you know, things are going to be a lot easier to troubleshoot if there is any problems in the future. So yeah, so that's one of the applications that you can use your Flir One, whether you're building stuff, whether you're repairing stuff or anything like that. It's, you know, it's a real help, you know, and it doesn't calibrate as often as it does when you first switch it on, so that's a bonus. The battery life, like I say, it was on for at least 5 minutes before I checked it, and now we're at 82. So, you know, that's brilliant. I mean, the battery life is brilliant there. The phone was on 100%. Now I don't know how. I'm actually getting some heat off the actual Flir One itself. This heats up, but it doesn't give any erroneous readings. You know, it just sits there in its case being warm. Yeah, and yeah, it seems to do the job quite nicely. You know, I'm seeing what I'd expect to see, really. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, the chips are heating up nicely. Nothing's drastic. You know, the only hot spots I've got. I don't know if that's a hot spot or if that's just reflection or what. Let's have a look. Yeah, some heat coming off the this here, but yeah, definitely more heat than I'd expect coming from this little device here, this LM1458. Yeah, so absolutely brilliant. I'm delighted. I mean, that is, you know, it's another eye. You know, this is something your eye will not see. And even touch, you can't feel how hot. I mean, as I demonstrated earlier when I touched those chips, I mean, they've now cooled down to their own ambient temperature. Yeah, you can see how, you know, how sensitive the camera in this is. So yeah, for electronics, absolutely brilliant. You can get higher end ones, but it does the job. It does the job perfectly. You know, I'm really delighted with it. I think it's a great little bit of kit. So thumbs up for that. Thumbs up, definitely. Okay, so in the next part of the video I'm going to do some battery tests. Now, I mean, already I've showed you here that the battery life is on, it's now 79 out of 100, and that's been on all this time while I've been waffling on about nothing, well, about this sort of stuff. And 78, just dropped down a bar. But yeah, it doesn't seem to be you know, eating through the batteries like my first unit did. So okay, on with the next bit, which is the battery. I'm going to charge this up, so I'll be back very shortly. Okay, this is the battery test. This is now 100%, and I've just fired up the software, so I'm actually going to start the timer now because that's fair. I'm also going to enable the temperature gauge just here. Hopefully the battery on the camera will last long enough, but I'm not going to do a time lapse. I was going to do that. I have my GoPro here, which I'll take off now. Actually, I was going to use the GoPro to do like a time lapse, but I mean, that's as boring as batshit, so we won't do that. Basically, what I'm going to do is just cut when it gets near the time. I'm not recording anything on here. I'm just really just playing this, so you know, it's just real time thermal imaging. I'm going to go into settings now. This is 98. The battery's on 98, which is percent because it goes up to 100. So it's on 98% there. And I'm going to see how long it takes to get down to 0. Once I've done that, I'm going to check the phone battery. The phone is also charged 100%. So I'm going to check the phone battery. It's in airplane mode, so there's nothing actually being used. This is the only app that's being used for the phone. So this is the only usage of the battery of the phone. So basically, the Flir or Fleur, however you like to pronounce it, is more than likely going to run down before the phone battery, because I mean just the physical size of it would suggest that. Anyway, so let me just see if I can pan in a little bit. Now what I will be doing in the meantime is, let's just go in, see if you can see if we can get this a bit better, a bit closer so you can see the battery. Okay, alright, it's not fantastic, but it'll do. Right, okay, let's just back off a little bit there. Right, yeah, so you can see the time, there's 2 minutes. It's literally just switched it on. I've just literally opened the app, and then I've started the thing. So what I'll do, I'll come back once this is sort of depleted, once the battery on there is depleted. We'll then have a look and see how much battery is left in the iPhone, so we'll see how much the actual app takes, how long we get, how much life we get from this, and like I say, it's real time. I need to tidy my work area, so I'll be doing that, so the camera will actually be getting activity behind it, like my hand and stuff, so it will be active. It's not just going to be dead at one spot, so I will be actually using, you know, it'll be doing something, and like I say, the measurements there, it's now at 95, so I'll pause the camera now and I'll restart the camera when it's near enough depleted, when it's in the last sort of 15% or whatever. But yeah, I'll just leave that running, and I'll see you soon. Look at that, that's over an hour of continuous use, and I've actually tidied up the bench. It probably doesn't look any different to anybody else looking on, but let's zoom out a little bit. Not that I'm trying to impress anybody, but yeah, I just tidied up a bit there. Integrated circuits and transistors and stuff all piled over here in bags and stuff, so I just sorted those out. I'm really just waffling just to until this battery goes, we're at 4%. But next part of the video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the Flir camera onto the iPad, and I'm just going to have a look and see what the image looks like on there. There's a few little hidden options on this as well. You can see my hand, and you can see the outline there. It doesn't quite match up, so what you can do, you can double tap on the video and you can just fine tune it. Now obviously, because there's two cameras a distance apart, when you move something closer it is going to go out of alignment, and you're going to have to realign like this, you know. And as something goes further back, I mean, you probably can't see that on a video, but you know, but yeah, you just move the cameras to align, so you've got the visual camera and the thermal camera in the same thing. But yeah, what we're on now, 2%, 1 minute and 3. Let's see if we can get squeeze 1 minute and 1 hour and 5 minutes. See if we can squeeze 1 hour and 5 minutes out of this. Okay, and yeah, like I say, I have been tidying up, so it has been registering thermal activity. It's not just been sitting there looking at a, you know, at a static image. This has actually been used. You know, I'm putting my hand there in front of it now just to illustrate this, that, you know, well, 1%, come on, let's see, 1 minute 4, come on, can we do it? Can we go to, sorry, 1 hour 4, 1 hour 4 minutes and 9:10, come on, let's see. No, it's gone, right. Okay, so there you go, 1 hour and okay, let's stop that there. Brilliant. Well, considering I had actually attached this and started the software, I'm gonna give it 1 hour and 5 minutes. I mean, even an hour is incredible, so yeah, I'm impressed. Okay, next up I'm going to charge this up now, and I'm going to come back and we're going to run the software on the iPad and just have a look at, see how that looks. One thing I failed to mention was the battery life in the phone, which I said I would look at. We're at 75%, so, you know, from 100% down to 75. Okay, I have this on the iPad. Yeah, I've just switched on the scope. I just want to see what that's like. This is this here. Where is it? It's the solder. You're seeing reflection of heat, not actually the heat itself. But yeah, so I switched on the scope. See if there's heat coming off that. I'm sure there will be. It seems a lot more zoomed in than on the phone. You know, when I was using the phone, this is a retina display, and so is the phone. This is a much lower resolution, so you get a much more zoomed in look. But yeah, I mean, it's a screen resolution rather than the camera resolution, so this is why you're getting a zoomed look. But yeah, I mean, this would be really handy for if you want to use a zoom function, if you actually want to zoom in, because it doesn't really give you the option for that. Okay, yeah, now you can see the front end starting to warm up. The B and C sockets there warming up, and just below the display there's warming up there. Bit of fluff there. Let's just wipe that off. Yeah, I wonder if that was me that just caused. Yes, it would have been. See how sensitive that is. So if I just put my fingers there and then remove them, like, yeah, extremely sensitive. So yeah, but as you can see, it's a much more zoomed version of the software than the iPhone. So yeah, okay, well, really that sort of sums it up. So there you go. So all in all, I think this is an absolutely brilliant little thermal imager. There is a couple of improvements that I would like to suggest to Flir, and maybe somebody that's got one of these might even agree with me. First off, basically you've got the little case here, so when you put it in its case, you can't see if you've accidentally switched it on, because the light is actually here, hidden away, and there's also another charging light which is here, and that's another thing. The charging, if this case had a small hole in the side where you could charge it, and a little window to show the LED, and maybe a window on that side to show that the LED on, because there's one on each side. If you could actually see that, and a little hole to charge it with, you could have it in its case and be able to charge it at the same time. So at the moment, when you charge it, you need to leave the lenses naked, you know, so all dust particles can drop onto them and stuff like that while it's charging. Or if you pull a charging cable by accident, it drops on the floor, there's a risk there and it's not protected. So it would be brilliant if they actually ship these with a little hole in the side. I might actually get my Dremel out and make a hole in the side of this, because I think that would be a brilliant addition to actually be able to plug it in while it's in its case. Superb. You know, it's not a waterproof case or anything like that. It's open back, so it's not like it's protecting it in that way or anything like that. So yeah, I'd highly recommend, if the company's listening or whatever, just an idea, that's all. You know, I mean, companies are always like to have ideas. They may use it, they may not. They might think, nah, that's a load of rubbish, let's not bother with that. It's fine as it is. And yeah, it is fine as it is. It's a great little unit. And yeah, the ability to firmware this at home. I looked around on the Flir website and I couldn't find anywhere any of the support pages or anything like that, any sort of firmware update. So like I say, it might already be in the phone. Now Flir can probably, if they see this video, comment and actually say yes, the firmware update is in here. If I get in touch with them and they let me know, I'll put some comments up here somewhere, I reckon, somewhere around there, and say yes, you can update it, or no, this is not an option. But maybe when you update your phone, it might actually send a firmware through the lightning cable, or if you've got the Android device, the micro USB. But yeah, this is absolutely superb. And one thing I will say is, when if you've got the iOS one, you have the added advantage. You can sit it that way round, as you can on the Android, you know, that's how they sit. But you can also have it in selfie mode, so you can do a selfie, because this is two-way, this is reversible. The lightning cables are reversible, and unfortunately the micro USB that the Samsungs use are not. So yeah, so you get a little benefit if you've got the iOS, so that's a nice little touch. Nice touch if you've got an iOS. If you haven't, then you know, a rear facing camera for this is fine anyway. You know, it's hardly like you're going to do selfies. Well, you might do, you know. You might want something for your Facebook profile picture or something like that, you know. Right, so yeah, that's the end of the review. Thanks ever so much for watching, and thanks ever so much to Flir for providing a new unit, and I'm absolutely delighted. I'm really pleased now I've got more knowledge on the unit and I can share with others. And yeah, so again, highly recommend this, and well, you've seen what it can do, so pretty fantastic little device, I reckon. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.